Welcome to Coffee and Conversation. My name is Honorine, and today I'm with Danielle Davis, who is pursuing a PhD in musicology. Danielle, thank you for being with me today.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you meeting with me.
Let's start with a little introduction.
Okay, so my name is Danielle. I am a violist, a fourth year PhD candidate now in the musicology area. I'm getting my PhD in ethnomusicology, and that is basically the study of music as culture. One of my main interests is, or I should say, my dissertation research is looking at the work of what I call the Tidewater Trio, which is looking at the band N.E.R.D, the production duo, the Neptunes, and select career achievements of Pharrell Williams's solo career. And I use that to kind of show how they have contributed to 21st century Southern hip hop as Virginian artists and culture bearers. I look at festival culture, hip hop festivals and concerts, live music experiences, and try to listen to how we record, how we interact in mosh pits, in large waves of people, the interpersonal interactions that we have together. What does that say about how we've been taught to perform our identity in this sonic and musical space? One of the other things that I enjoy is Middle Eastern music, and I love Bulgarian music. So while at FSU, I started the first Middle Eastern ensemble offered for credit under the World Music program there. And we did it for 2 years. It was a great time. And we learned how sometimes our training as musicians, especially if we play in that classical world, can help and also can hinder the way that we approach musical cultures that are different from our own. And I think, one of the things that really make me who I am is understanding how much we sense using our body. So one of the things that I like to do outside of school is cook. And I may make like a playlist that I listen to while I'm cooking. But I find that there is something really beautiful that comes from sharing space with people, whether it's over a meal, whether it's over a tune, and really just paying attention to our bodies and the things that we have to share, our own observations and perspectives.
That's fascinating. And so when you say you studied a concert, like in order to feel the bass, and you have to be in the concert or at the concert, you can't just watch a concert. So for your research, do you attend concert, or do you base it on like past experiences or interviews?
Both. So, or I guess all of the above. So even like last night, I went to a concert. Esperanza Spalding and Fred Hirsch were performing at Emory University. And I was talking to someone about what I'm doing. Usually I'll just like strike up a conversation and just be like, hey, so who are you here to see? What are you excited for? And sometimes we'll just get to talking about their experience, like even if it's just like, how did you even get here? Did you have a long day? Did you like come directly from work? Did you have a chance to eat? Like, what was that like, even just getting to the venue, and now you're here ready to experience the sound with all these people that you may have not met? So thinking about that and thinking about the dimensions of like being in a space, like it's different if you're in a concert hall that has been constructed so the sounds will vibrate back to the audience and through our ears and also through our body. And it's different when you're seeing jazz musicians where it's kind of rude to have your phone up and the flashlight on while they're playing. Whereas like if you're at a hip hop concert and you're outdoors, like at something like a Rolling Loud or a Coachella, that's, you know, perfectly fine and okay, because everybody wants to capture that moment. But the thing is, when we're using technology to mediate our music experience, what does that say when you turn on the lens of your camera and you create more distance between you and the performer than you actually have in the moment, you know? So those are all the things that I'm kind of playing with in my research.
Yeah, I guess it's always this debate about, living the moment instead of
Mhm.
trying to record everything, which I feel it's a big struggle for, people living in the 21st century,
Yeah.
like right now, because you
Mhm.
want to have those souvenirs, but at the same time, you're like, well, was I really in the moment?
Mhm.
It's difficult to find a balance, I feel like.
Right. And especially you have people who are influencers. So they're supposed to be, they're curating this persona. And this is something that I get into because the artists that I look at, Shay Haley, Chad Hugo, and Pharrell Williams, they're uber celebrities. And there is something to be said about the media personality where people have these parasocial relationships. So the influencer could go and see Beyonce, go to one of her like Renaissance parties that are happening right now, and just be lively in the moment because they're trying to capture, oh, I had this exclusive experience to listen to this album with a bunch of really interesting people, and I want to share this experience with my audience that I've curated, whether that's on YouTube, TikTok, or Twitter, whatever it is. And from there, the masses are able to, they get to assess, they get to enjoy and maybe imagine things that they may not have a chance to really, or an opportunity to really feel and see and sense for their own, in their own bodies and for their, in their own lives. And so I think a lot about parasocial relationships. Like, what does it mean to study a celebrity, to know these things and these facts about their career, or these stories about their career, and be countered with all of these different understandings of the trajectory of how they made their music, um, by other listeners. So yes, I love these artists. I love their music. Um, but I am not as interested as in trying to like recreate how they were making music in the studio. I'm more interested in what was this listener's experience when they first heard a song by them? Where were they? How did they first encounter that? What decisions did those producers make in that track that ultimately hooked a listener onto where they're like, I'm going to be a lifelong fan, whether that means I listen to their music every time they release an album, they release a music video. I take it a step further and I go to their concerts, their events, or I could take it even a step further where um, anytime they have a particular event, I am going to buy tickets, buy airplane, find lodging so that I can go and do a meet and greet. Or and there are a lot of dimensions of safety and access that we have to negotiate. But those are just a little bit of some of the questions that I'm trying to answer.
So I'm thinking going to a concert is expensive. Going to a festival is expensive, especially if it's out of town.
Mhm.
How do you finance everything?
That's a good question. And that's one of the things that's kind of difficult, I think, at this point, because I have I think sometimes I go up against people who think, oh yeah, you're going to a festival to do research, as if I'm having fun. But like I said before, like I also am making thousands of like split second decisions. So one of the things that like happened to me the first time I went to Something in the Water last year was I was afraid of being able to talk to people because of COVID. But the thing was, I was able to even be there because my best friend lived in Virginia and she went to the locals only pre-sale. So I got tickets at the local, like the Virginians price for people who are from there. So she bought all the tickets for us because she knew that I had been wanting to go to this. I remember I was in the library, Allen Music Library, and someone texted me some sort of announcement that Pharrell made. I'm having Something in the Water, and I just started crying because he didn't have it due to COVID and some other, reasons. So when he said he was taking it to DC, I was like, I got to be there. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I started texting all the people that I know, and she was like, hey, we can do this. And it's going to be our 10-year friend anniversary. So let's just like do this together. And we did. And so I paid for the ticket, for my ticket, my sister's ticket. Her and her partner went, and we split the costs. Mm-hmm. And found a way to make it work. So until I'm able to get funded, get a fellowship somewhere, I guess I'm just gonna have to like dog sit and do, put portions of my paycheck aside. Because I think there's a legitimate need to talk about these things. People online are always talking about how is it that there was a crowd crush at like the 2021 Astroworld Festival that Travis Scott hosted? How is it that, we have this footage of all of these non-Black fans going to see a Black artist, but they're using, racial epithets like the N-word. And they think it's okay because that's part of the song. But there are other dynamics that are going on because you have Black people in the audience. We may be few in number because of the accessibility. Not all of us can pay $1,000 just to even get there and be there for, 2 to 4 days, Yeah. So I guess that's how I would answer that question as far as like funding, but I think I added a little extra.
So for my last question, where do you see yourself in 5 years from today?
Ooh, 5 years from today. I hope that, well, one, I'm going to be a doctor for sure. I would like to have a tenure track position. So maybe I would be preparing to go up for tenure at a Research One university in the US South. And I think I would like to see myself doing more collaborative work that I'm already doing. It's going to be well funded. Maybe it'll win some awards, but having the opportunity to work with Black and Filipino and white and all kinds of artists who are interested in understanding the ways that we sense and express culture as humans. And whether that comes through like a curated food experience with like a bomb, an amazing soundtrack and maybe some visual elements to it, or it's, a museum exhibition. It could be anything.
So would you see yourself more like in those collaborative spaces as a researcher or more as a participant in the sense of like maybe because you're a violinist, you're music, would you also make music?
Yeah, so one of the things that I'm actually hoping for my dissertation is to actually produce a couple of tracks that use some of my ethnographic experiences, the conversations that I have. So not only am I learning how to produce music in a similar way as the artist that I'm studying, but also I'm able to create a sound world for the listener. And I would love to be a participant, but it's really important for me to research and to teach,
Okay.
and to help bring up professionals, especially people from minoritized communities, so that they can also, expand this way of thinking about music and sound, culture, language, and all of that. So um, I see myself kind of doing a bit of it all, but I definitely am hoping to mentor another generation of professionals.
But it sounds like, yeah, you have a very exciting project, promising project, and I wish you the best of luck for this project.
Thank you, Honorine. Thank you for having me.